Of all the tragedies of war, none are greater than those that involve children. Caught in the crossfire or hit by a roadside bomb, children are often wounded, but rarely receive the heroic high-tech medical care that our troops depend on. Recently, we heard about a woman in Staten Island, New York, who has devoted herself to wounded children. Elissa Montanti has little money and no training in humanitarian relief, but against the odds, she has changed the fortunes of more than 100 crippled children, one child at a time. We wanted to see how she does it. So for 4 months, we followed Elissa Montanti on a journey with one child, a 9-year-old from Iraq, a boy named Wafaa. This is Wafaa last April when he arrived in America with his mother, Wafaa. Elissa Montanti brought them here after an American soldier told her Wafaa's story.
He was walking with his friends and they were kicking a bottle. I think the first child kicked the bottle and then maybe the second, and then he kicked it and it exploded.
It was a bomb.
It was a bomb.
The blast shattered his face, tore out his eye, and took away his right arm and left leg. Wafaa would receive treatment for all of those wounds from a network of volunteers and charities that Elissa Montanti has recruited one by one over the last 15 years. Wafaa's first stop was at the Shriners Hospital in Philadelphia. Shriners has 22 hospitals that provide free care to burned and crippled children.
Oh, you are so strong. Very good.
Wafaa pushed through physical therapy to strengthen his muscles.
You're going to be Superman.
But slowed down long enough
Wow, he really gets around well.
to get fitted for a new arm and leg that the Shriners made for him. Then it was a trip to see an ocular specialist, Annette Kersrott, who also volunteers for Elissa. A prosthetic eye was the first step in improving Wafaa's appearance.
Happy? Happy. Happy.
But the tougher part would be reconstructing his face.
Wafaa, how are you, buddy?
That was the challenge for plastic surgeon Kaveh Alizadeh. He's a Long Island volunteer recruited by Elissa.
So there's this increasing pool of people that get drawn into her world, and if you're lucky or unlucky enough to be excited about this stuff, you get pulled in. Can you blow up your cheeks really big?
Good, mama.
When you first approach a hospital or a doctor to ask them for potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars in free medical care, what's your pitch? What do you tell them?
I tell them this true story. Here's a child that's battered. I just tell them the reality. I expect them to help. I'm grateful because they don't have to help. But I expect that they would, because how could you not? And you get to feed the
After the
elephants.
earthquake in Haiti, she went to the island and brought back 3 girls who lost limbs. Elissa's work with crippled children began back in 1996 when a friend asked her to raise money to buy school supplies for kids in war-torn Bosnia. That led to a meeting with the Bosnian ambassador to the UN.
And he said to me, you know, quite frankly, we have much stronger needs right now than pencil cases. He reached in his drawer and he handed me this letter that this boy had written to him asking for help, 2 new arms and a leg. And I saw his picture, and that's really when my whole life started to change.
She brought that boy to the U.S. for treatment. Kenan Malkic, now 28, helps Elissa run her tiny charity with a mighty name. She calls it the Global Medical Relief Fund. Global Medical Relief sounds really big.
It's big in the sense that we reach out to the world, but it's small in that it's really me.
Maybe you should call it One Little Lady in Staten Island. She runs Global Medical Relief out of her home, a 57-year-old single woman with a computer and a phone.
My office is my former walk-in closet, and I added a window, and it works, and I speak to the world right out of my walk-in closet.
The 112 children that you've helped so far come from where?
Bosnia, El Salvador, Liberia, Niger, Sierra Leone, Iraq, China, Indonesia, Pakistan, Haiti. Did I say Nepal?
How do you keep it running?
On a prayer.
She simply begs and borrows from doctors and hospitals, whatever it takes. She's traveled to the Middle East, arranging passports, cutting red tape, and getting wounded children out one at a time. Word spread among soldiers in Iraq that an American charity called Global Medical Relief is a lifeline.
We are working in Mosul.
Now, she gets a dozen emails a month from the war zone, most of which start with "Dear Sir."
There's so many.
How did these letters end?
Please help.
It was an email like that that started Waad on his journey with Elissa Montanti. And 7 weeks after he arrived, Waad was scheduled for his first surgery to repair his face. He walked into the hospital thanks to his new prosthetic leg. When you first met Miss Elissa, do you remember what she told you that she would do for you?
He said they will help me to make surgery and fix my arm and leg.
And make you whole again.
ويقول لك يعني تصير حلو يعني بعد ترجع طبيعي.
Dr. Alizadeh's goal is to minimize the scar that runs from Waad's scalp down to his chin. The surgery was done at North Shore University Hospital, which donated its facilities.
I love you, Waad.
My plan today is to go ahead and expand the skin surrounding the scar, putting a sophisticated tissue balloon underneath the skin where the skin slowly stretches over time.
That sophisticated tissue balloon implanted under his cheek will be inflated gradually over the course of weeks. So over time, you're going to stretch his skin out, essentially creating new skin.
That's right.
And then you're going to cut the scars out and move the new skin together.
I hope so. That's the plan.
What's the best you can hope for?
My goal with Waad is that the defects that he has will not be noticeable when he becomes a young man.
And you have a great deal of confidence in that.
I do.
But Waad's appearance would have to become much worse before he had a chance to get better. During his time here, Elissa arranged for Waad to live alongside the 3 Haitian girls in temporary housing, a Jesuit retreat on Staten Island. Together, they formed a family. Kids who didn't speak the same language, helping each other through a painful experience.
What is coming around the bend?
Even with all the free care, Elissa spends about $50,000 a year on plane tickets and expenses. She raises it from donors, including Richmond County Savings, a Staten Island bank, but sometimes it's tough going. How often do you run into people who say, look, those kids are from overseas, and we'd rather donate our money to kids here in the United States?
Often.
It's a big problem for you?
I've gotten hate mail. You know,
hate mail?
Yeah. You know, how can you help children from Iraq when they're going to grow and just hate the United States? You should help the children here.
And to those people, you would say what?
I say, we don't have landmines in this country, thank God. And these children are innocent.
Nearly 3 months into Waad's treatment, the kids went to an amusement park. The balloons under Waad's face had been successfully inflated, but remember, we said things would get worse before they got better. This was Waad in June. Imagine what it takes to be a stranger in America and place your faith in a painful procedure you don't understand. Some people need courage for a roller coaster. Waad sat right up front to see what it's like to be a kid again.
Do you want to just bring him to the room straight?
Give us a few minutes.
2 days later came his final surgery.
What? No pain. No pain.
Over 2 hours, Dr. Alizadeh removed the balloons from under Waad's skin, cut out the scars, and joined the new skin together.
Look at it, it looks beautiful.
Plastic surgery requires months of healing, and in recovery, Wa'ad had a long way to go.
There you go. Now you can look at Mommy.
But for the first time, his mother began to recognize the face she hadn't seen in more than 2 years.
Happy, be happy, okay? Sleepy.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Yes, thank you.
I'm curious why you do this.
I do this probably for the most selfish reason, which is that it feels good. What do you think?
Well, my charity is very personal. It becomes a global family. All these children, I say my children so often because I feel that they are. I love all of them. It's more than just an organization that is giving a child a leg or fixing his face. These children go back as little ambassadors, and they tell their town, their village, who say how wonderful the American people are.
In early August, Wa'ad had one more checkup with Dr. Alizadeh.
Look at this face. He looks so much better. Aren't you handsome? Wa'ad, you look so good.
His scars will continue to fade over time, but this isn't the end of Wa'ad's treatment. The plan is for him to come back from time to time for touch-ups as he grows older.
He's got his smile back.
He's got a smile.
And I think he understands more English than he used to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you understand a lot of it.
4 months after they arrived in America, Wa'ad and his mother headed home to Iraq.
Hard to say goodbye?
Very hard. I cry all the time.
You must worry that you won't see him again.
I do, because it's always that worry, what if? You know, what if something happens while they're in Iraq? What if I can't do this anymore?
A few weeks later, we checked in on Wa'ad back in his neighborhood in Iraq. That's him in the red shirt. We found the boy who'd been disfigured and left to hop on one leg was back with a smile and a pretty solid kick.
Go to 60minutesovertime.com to hear from the first child Elissa Montanti ever helped.